mention that again later, but let's get that out there. It is your birthday. Happy birthday, good sir.
I
This is
still
a
kind of
great set
joke
of
to you
games. Yes.
because it's April Fool's. You think I'm a joke?
It's not my fault you chose the wrong date to be born.
I blame my
You could
parents for
choose, Mike.
this. I blame
You
my
could choose.
parents. I could. I could. I popped out a bit too early or late, whichever one it was. Who cares about that crap though? As we are gonna see the odds, John, and well, EHOME not looking to be the favourites this game either. Vici Gaming the heavy favourites in game 2. Of course, this is prior to the draft popping up, mind you, but I will not doubt these guys. Never again.
No, definitely. I have to say, I am surprised we're not seeing the Dazzle Undying dual lane. And even the Spirit Breaker Ember dual lane is pretty potent if PYW invests in that early Great Bash. It's just super strong. Chain stunning, the potential for damage that could come out with an Ember Spirit. I think those might be stronger lanes, but they do balance it out because they don't want to. Well, I said they don't want dual melee lanes, but Ember Spirit Undying is still a dual melee lane anyway.
30 seconds to battle.
PYW is already chasing down heroes, trying to find a nice target to hit. Does have that Orb of Venom, which does have that buffed slow now, so should be quite effective on the Spirit Breaker. Gonna chase down Y. It hasn't skilled up anything quite as yet, though I imagine he probably will go for Greater Bash. Yang, can you get the bounty? No, Sylar will be there. He tried to seemingly go for a deny attempt, and PYW gonna come in, does skill up Greater Bash, but gonna take a lot more damage than he gave.
Sin Q?
Alrighty then, Sing Q gets taken out by DY on the Undying.
That was just 2 casts of Decay and a couple of right clicks with that Orb of Venom and DY. No level 1 skill on Sin Q, so he just cops it.
Alright. It's an interesting way to die. I mean, it was literally just DY by himself.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, John. Apparently, your one of your favorite heroes isn't completely dead in the water. It's if it's up against the Mirana, then apparently it does great.
A Mirana with no level 1 skill, I think.
Right.
That's the key thing there.
Yeah. Still gonna be very frustrating as well, like for Faith Beyond, because as the Underlord, you do feel very tanky playing this hero, but DY already kind of lowering his HP pool now to 480. And every time he does that, it seems that Eurus is going to commit the Sleight of Fist to get full value out of this minimized HP pool. Though Arrow does connect from Sin Q, DY won't die. He'll throw another DK out, and Faith, luckily for him, does have at least a salve left over, but has already had to burn through all his tangos.
Yeah, that's one of the things with the Undying in lane. You have to play really aggressive, you have to pump out all of your mana, and then kind of sacrifice yourself if you don't get anything done. DY is doing a pretty good job with the spacing, but he's already out of mana, down to 1 Mango and 1 Clarity, so gonna have to look for a reset soon.
It's always the weird part about Undyings. Like, you've got to go find a way to die now. It's very ironic for the hero. Nothing to say, mid lane up against Ori on the DP. Both going to salve up as both were very, very low. Ori. So far doing pretty okay on the AA. Sitting at 6 and 2. Of course, nothing to say is going to get ahead on the DP at 8 and 4. That's kind of to be expected, because no matter how much you want to, argue it, AA is not going to be able to CS better than a DP.
No, definitely not. And, you used to see a lot of AAs mid. Of course, that's a old staple. Has been a while since we've seen it ourselves. I'm surprised Ori's actually holding out as well as he is. It could be much worse. In fact, it is now. Like, he's a wave behind, but he does have a wave coming in, being shoved up. He should be able to try to play catch-up. Still, not a lane I'm expecting Nothing to Say to struggle with.
Bot lane, there is a bit of a struggle going on. DY falling quite low on that Undying, but he'll continue spamming Decay away onto Faith Beyond. Eurus is trying to back him up. Does have the level 2 Sleight of Fist now, but DY looks like he probably will die. In fact, Firestorm won't be enough. He does heal himself up, and now Chains comes in from Eurus, but it's not enough from Sinkyu. DY trying to juke out Faith Beyond, but doesn't get away with it. Eurus, can you find any form of trade? Not quite. So, the Undying, while he found a kill earlier on, does lose his life.
I'd say that's fine for an Undying. He does need a reset,
Eurus.
so... Ooh.
Chains, Sinkyu leaping in, Eurus trying to juke him out, but he has no more regen left. Sinkyu will go down, but you're going to love that kill if you are Sinkyu.
Yeah, not going to be unhappy about that at all. Finding that core Ember Spirit is big. Over at top, PYW does get a charge off, but...
No greater bash. 17% chance, just not good enough apparently. Sylar, that's the second time he's actually managed to TP away like that. You would see PYW just hitting away, hoping for the bash to kick in. He has not gotten lucky yet.
Yeah, it's rather unfortunate, but you can see EHOME's definitely having a better time here in this early game. Like, their lanes aren't losing out as much. They are still keeping up with the kills at the very least, and nothing major has been lost from either side. The big difference now as well is that Nothing to Say is definitely overtaking this Ancient Apparition.
He certainly is, but top lane, they do end up losing PYW, who got a little bit aggressive with his positioning and tried to charge away, but he got magic missiled up. And like you just mentioned, Nothing to Say is slowly but surely taking over. The Cold Feet comes out, Nothing to Say will fall low, and now a charge is coming in from the Space Cow, PYW. I doubt he'll keep going, as Nothing to Say is underneath the tier 1 tower, though I say that, he does keep going. PYW does cancel off at the last second. It's almost like a warning shot for the DP. Just remember, I'm always available to charge.
Yeah, that's one thing we haven't seen too often just yet. PYW getting his rotations down mid. That is the tendency with Spirit Breakers, but not in this case, although they charge Faith Beyond.
He does have Pit of Malice. He goes for an early skill point in it. They try to go on Sinkyu with the Tombstone, but Sinkyu happily takes that Tombstone. And now top lane Yang does fall against Sylar, who, I mean, he was left alone on the Dazzle. As we know, Dazzle doesn't really do well alone as a core.
Definitely not. It's a rough lane for him to survive. There's a lot of right-click damage from EHOME. They are charging Nothing to Say again, but...
Ice Blast could be enough. Nothing to Say does cop it. PYW hoping for that bash. It does come in, but an arrow. Sinkyu on point. That'll allow the DP to walk away. In fact, never mind. He ticks out in the last second. So it is going to be a 1-for-1 trade on both those mid-cores by PYW. Surely doesn't get out. He does charge, but a nice Pit of Malice from Faith on the low ground. It won't be enough, though. The arrow. PYW does duke it out. Sinkyu will eventually let that go. The Spirit Breaker will be able to walk away.
You're still going to be pretty okay with that as Vici. At the very least, you got that kill onto the DP. But EHOME's not too far behind. And they are really applying that pressure up top. Yang, of course, not being able to even cope against the solo lane against that NP. Does get support from DY this time. So you've got that Undying Dazzle combination that could come into play. I think with level 1 Tombstone, you can't really hope for much. Like, that king just dies way too fast.
Bot lane really struggling here alone, and now Sylar TP's in a very easy kill. Eurus, he's still level 5. So all this solo XP that he had in the lane just means nothing, as he really hasn't out-leveled anyone. And they will be able to secure a very quick tier 1. Meanwhile, DY, though, rotates mid and does get Nothing to Say.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, I mean, they lose the DP again. I think when you're trading your Ember Spirit for that window, VG's not going to be as happy. They don't manage to get too much damage onto this tower as well. Nothing like what EHOME pulled off in that bot lane, which is a key issue for VG. They just cannot push with this kind of lineup. They don't have the damage to push fast enough. So this is something EHOME can always leverage, and they are using that potential quite well. They're just taking control on the map so far, 4-6.
Top lane, Yang again, gonna fall very low. It's just Y on the Venge, but now the TP comes in from Sylar. Yang may just die with the Shadow Wave coming out, but it doesn't matter. Sylar, he gets the sprout off, and now charge. Y avoids the Ice Blast. The charge is still going on, but do you really find anything out of this? Maybe if you land the cold feed, PYW, he's going in, but there's the rotations. PYW may have fed his life away. His magic missile comes in. Sprout connects with the Nature's Wrath just on the tail end. Well, these charges, oh, in fact, Arrow, Sing Q.
Oh, man.
Landing on the core AA. That's going to be a double kill for Sala now, and this is looking really bad for Vici.
Yeah, 4-9. Going the way of EHOME. 3K net worth advantage for EHOME at this point in the game. Completely different story from game 1, where it was fairly even for VG, but they did have a slight lead. EHOME this time takes a definitive lead in that early game. They've got nothing to say, getting that push on the mid-tier 1. They rotate Sylar as well, so the map is shrinking here for VG.
Mid lane, charge, again PYW, onto nothing to say, Ice Blast, gonna fly through but doesn't really connect though. Chains is gonna be there with the Slide of Piston, now Remnant forward. Eurus, you don't have any mana left, sir. Spirit Siphon gonna be there onto Eurus, but he will be able to walk away. Now a Mango Tree dropping in the middle of all this, nothing to say, does take it for himself. Still charge, PYW, he's not done with his DP yet. He wants the kill, but look at those Spirit Siphons, he's back up to 4 HP as now. There's the Pit of Malice coming in, Faith, just holding him down for a second. It won't be enough. And both teams just kiting back constantly, back onto nothing to say. Charge again, PYW, for the 3rd time this team fight. A secondary Ice Blast will find the DP this time. Now the slide from Eurus. Not going to do much as Yang gets chased down on the Dazzle. And well, Nature's Wrath from Sylar really melting these heroes on Vici Gaming, as they are going to find another core in the form of Ori. And Sylar is the lucky man to pick all of it up. A triple kill on the Prophet. And this is only going to get worse with time. Speaking of time, PYW not having a great time. Does get caught out on the breaker. Does get broken.
Oh, man. 6-14, 10 minutes in. 20 kills on the board, 6K advantage for EHOME. VG with their draft. We were expecting them to play as fast as they did in game 1. They're falling behind. They're staggering into these fights. They're getting kited around. EHOME's just picking them off one by one and taking a lot of control on the map. So mid-tier 1 gone now for VG. Bot tier 1 gone as well. You've got the Exorcism up and running on nothing to say. He's going to have it off cooldown in about half a minute as well.
That's a concern. I've got to say as well, I love the build coming up from Faith Beyond. He's not even bothering with a Pipe or a Crimson or a Vladimir's. He's just literally going for Rod of Atos. Just, it's a great item up against the Ember, right? It's just catch him out.
It's what they need against the Ember specifically. They don't really have... I mean, you want a way to really just keep people in that route very long. It's a lot of value for an Underlord. You know, just great follow-up for the Pit of Malice, just getting a second proc for the most part, almost every single time. And it does tank you up quite nicely, so it's a good item to have early on in Fate. I think that's going to allow them to keep a lid on a lot of these slippery heroes like the Ember and the Spirit Breaker. Even though PYW hasn't been a massive issue as of yet, still should allow them to get an easy pick-off in that hero.
Well, he does at least now have the level 6 on that Spirit Breaker, so Nether Strike going to be up. Eurus, they are pinging him out. Teleportation, going to be there from Sylar, but immediate Remnant out. Eurus does not want to risk his life, and he is just fallen a bit behind, and he's desperately got to catch up to really be able to help out this team. As top lane, we do have another charge onto nothing to say. Ice Blast way off though. Now Pit of Malice coming in. They have found the Undying DY. Drops the Tombstone, but that's just going to be free gold the way of EHOME. They'll say thank you very much. Now PYW, why are you even still there, sir? You had charge.
Interesting choice to make. Does cost him his life, and EHOME again going to be very happy. You see VG trying to apply that pressure that their lineup should be applying. Just not paying off, and nothing to say. He's got the Exorcism up. He turns it on. Easy tier 1 going the way of EHOME. Fortify is up. Not going to really save this tower, though.
Definitely not. They won't really be there to defend anyway. I just don't think they feel very confident, VG Gaming. And how could you? Like, you're 9k behind. It's a lot of gold for 12 minutes into a game. And EHOME just really giving it to him as PYW. Where are you going? He's going after nothing to say. He cancels it in the end. But this man, he's in a rage up against this DP. He just doesn't like nothing to say this game.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had the best of impacts on the Spirit Breaker. So, you know, I guess he's just trying to assert that dominance. Not quite there. And they need to try to play around their potential here, VG. They've got great long-range gap closing with that Ember Spirit and Spirit Breaker. It's just synchronization's not there. They haven't been able to get a favorable fight as of yet. And EHOME's just building up. They're at 10k now at 13.5 minutes in. Really different story from game one. You've got a great amount of farm onto Sylar's NP. And even the other cores are doing quite well. The only hero on VG side that is kind of keeping up is Eurus on that Spirit, Ember Spirit.
Yeah. Bot lane, they could find Y. Smoke broken, Remnant forward, Sylar. He's the target they want as charge comes in, but the immediate rotations and swap is there from Y. Sylar, he'll get a Sprout, though there is another strike and it'll be enough. Huge pit of Malice, but it's going to be nothing as the Ice Blast flies through now in Faith. He has no mana left. Eurus trying to find him. They'll be able to find Y, and they do find a third. That's a massive kill, or massive team fight from Vici Gaming. In fact, that was worth about 2.5k worth of a gold swing. In fact, have they found more? No, it was just a Venge Illusion. But the fact that they found that Prophet, who was so far ahead in net worth, really does pay off for Vici Gaming.
Definitely does. That gives Eurus a lot of gold to play with. Is number 2 in net worth from those sets of kills. They do manage to take their first tier 1 of the game as well, though it did take a while. And not the fastest push coming out from VG. But that's exactly what VG needs to pull off. They need to play aggressively as 5, start with their really long gap closers, follow up with their pretty strong team fight and durability, and overtake EHOME from there. As long as they can keep getting fights like that, keep forcing EHOME to clump up into their Undying and their Dazzle and their AA, VG still has tools to turn these fights. The issue is EHOME has been playing much more disciplined now. Like, even if they did manage to find those 3 big kills, you didn't manage to take out the DP, and they're going to have that Exorcism up for the next fight. So, nothing to say has that spell up and running. You expect EHOME to kind of play around that now.
The longer this game goes on, you know, I've doubted the core Dazzle so many times, but that last time we saw it, once he gets the Guiding Greaves up, once he hits that level 3 ultimate, the sustain does become a little bit ridiculous to watch. So EHOME can't underestimate this draft, even though it's not going well yet. But Vici, they find a nice Mirana, Ice Blast flies through, and they will be able to secure the kill as Nature's Wrath was thrown out by Sylar, but it meant nothing.
Yeah, simple kill going the way of VG at the very least. Not the biggest kill in the world, mind you. Like, that's still just support Mirana, but in the end, you're gonna take what you can get. There is a split push going on though, nothing to say, and Sylar down bot, trying to get that tier 2.
Eurus will be there with the Flame Guard, Sleight of Fist. Does have the Maelstrom up as well to be able to clear out these Treants. You know, John, believe it or not, that Mirana kill was worth 400 gold. Surprisingly.
Ooh, yeah, I think that's down to the fact that even Ori on the mid AA is behind Sinq's net worth, so it's a bit more to kill off that support Mirana right now. I mean, do you even consider Ori support at this point? I mean, I guess you do, because he's still ahead, but it's not by much.
It's 4.7k net worth. It's a bit of a... I don't know. Yeah. He's going to need a lot more. He's going straight for the Scythe of Vice. Core AAs, don't you usually want to go for that Ags build? Is that not a thing anymore?
I think with the change for it to Chilling Touch, perhaps the priority is not as much on that. I think you've taken away a bit of the dependency on it because you know, you're not relying on it to maximize your Ice Blast now. So I can see the value in getting something like that Sight. I think it's optimistic to expect that item up though. It's going to be a long time farming before you see that up.
Moonlight Shadow will be popped by EHOME. So Vici Gaming did spot out Faith Beyond going into that invis, so they do back off behind their tier 1 top. Still EHOME, they are setting up for that bottom tier 2 tower. Exorcism back up. Eurus will Remnant back down, but I don't see him really being able to defend this one. Ice Blast will fly through. He remnants forward, but it's straight into a Pit of Malice and the team of EHOME, and they got the silence off. He has no way out, and now they all run into the pit. Yang in trouble. How do you get out of this one if you're a Dazzle? Well, you've got Shallow Grave. Is that going to be enough? DY, he comes in with the Undying, trying to help with the Tombstone. It's actually a lot of damage on Faith, who's really losing his HP right now. He does go down on a 3-man charge from PYW, but they are slowly whittling away on the side of Vici Gaming as they will lose 4. The only man to walk away so far is Ori, and they will get back to that tier 2 bot.
I mean, overall, EHOME's still going to be happy. Ori?
He went for the clumsy net ice. Yeah, no, the cold feed. It's
Why? He knows they wouldn't be pulling back. Does cost us life for a tier 2 as well. So EHOME can be, hey, they're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. You're going to be very happy with that entire set of fights. Sure, they lose a couple of heroes. In the end, your DP stays alive. Sylar stayed alive. You take that tier 2 out anyway. And you are shrinking the map for VG. It looked like it could have gone well for VG. The initiation still felt a bit sloppy. You know, it wasn't as clean as you'd want. They didn't manage to get their spacing right. They had to use that Shallow Grave and Yang very early on. And they still kind of lack the tools to be big. Like, it takes a while for the Dazzle. You need that level 18.
mid lane. Pit of Malice, Rod of Atos, Arrow, not quite going to make it. Nothing to say, he still has the Exorcism, so they want to go mid. In fact, Silent's going to be out there. Sylar has an Orchid. In fact, he has a... Yeah, he does have an Orchid, not a Bloodthorn. Yules is going to be out, but the Pit of Malice route. And now Exorcism will come out from EHOME. And I don't know how much longer Vici Gaming can keep this up. Like, they're falling further and further behind. With the push lineup of EHOME, within the next 10 minutes or so, they might pick up a Roshan and go high ground.
Definitely. There's really nothing from VG just yet to stop this. Like, they're going to have to give this tier 2, and yeah, they almost lose out in PYW, but he does manage to charge out, at the very least.
But they do lose that mid-tier 2 tower. It's not very good news. And we've gotten to the point in the game now where apparently our pause for Mirana, in fact, hold that thought because he does get a Yules off onto DY. DY going to try and survive, but Sylar is going to be there with the follow-up. But Sing Q's feeling so confident, he's going for a Deso.
I think that's fine. Like, EHOME's so far ahead. There is no response from VG. That just more damage to mount these buildings is going to be supremely helpful to EHOME. VG now, they have to buy time for Yang to get big, for him to get the EXP. They can't even go out to their lane safely. You know, the safest guy up front is Eurus. He's the only one that can really go out, clear these waves, and pull back in. Even then, he has been caught out a couple of times.
Sylar going to move in, has the Orchid ready. Eurus does hold out on the Remnant. Sprout going to come out, now the Silence. He does have a Yules. Poison Touch is there from Yang. Pit of Malice going to hold Eurus down, but now they're going in. PYW just rushing forward. Still, they get the Rod of Atos out. Where's the Silence? Not quite there. DY, he will find Faith Beyond on the Undying. And now Y goes down on the bench, so VG, they're looking pretty darn good. Nothing to say. Also losing his life, and now Sylar. Clumsy net comes out. And a triple kill for Eurus. What? How do you even take a team fight like that when you're that far behind in net worth?
I wish I could comprehend what exactly happened, but it feels like that fight from EHOME just took a bit too long to get together. They were fighting right into VG. VG was baiting with Eurus, and that did allow them the space to get the fight they wanted, the positioning they wanted in this specific fight, to focus on the exact heroes they needed to.
Chained up. He was underneath a sentry ward. He will leap away and does have another leap. PYW hoping for a lucky bash, but there is no chance of stopping the Roshan. PYW, he's still going. He gets a bash. Doesn't get a secondary. Now Y going to rotate over, but... Well, Vici, they've abandoned PYW. They've had enough of his antics. You want to keep chasing people down, you're going to do it yourself. Does end up paying for it.
I mean, I think that's value. Like, VG did buy space. With that Spirit Breaker in front, they weren't scouted out by the NP. They weren't taken out by the Venge with any sort of swap play. So that just managed to give them a very clean rush without worrying about too much. And I can respect that coming out from PYW. Overall, I think VG, they've shown us that they still have fight left in them. EHOME has to be a bit cautious here. They can't be as overconfident. They have to really time that BKB usage. I think the fact that Nothing to Say was hit by that ult anyway from the AA took away a lot of the presence of this DP. So you have to really be conscious about that. Nothing to Say has to respect the power of that ult, understands that his longevity is one of his strongest points in this game, and AA is just going to take that all away. So he's got to watch out while he's on that DP, and EHOME has to always remember that clumping up plays into VG's strength.
And it will do so in the future as well, as Eurus is going for a Battle Fury build on the Ember. So, a bit of a late one, but it's coming as Y, bot lane, gets caught out by PYW, but now PYW going to be the target, though Tombstone has been dropped. DY happy to turn this if necessary. And in fact, will continue moving forward to protect his Tombstone, and EHOME don't want a bar of him. They don't want to deal with this zombie, and he will in fact protect the Tombstone.
That's worthwhile, because that Tombstone is worth a lot when you kill it. So just managing to save that is pretty nice, I suppose, for DY. He is going to miss out on his Flesh Golem for the next fight, and he might have his Tombstone up by then, but no Flesh Golem could play a part. No slow, no DPS around him. It could be a bit rough. Oh.
They got DY this time. No Flesh Golem, though. He does get the Shallow Grave, and again, PYW. This time, he gets used up and Ronovate tossed up. They will continue chasing this Undying, but hold on a minute. They have caught out the Venge. Y does go down as Faith Beyond. Starting to move forward onto that Ember. They got a silence off. He still has the Yules, but he'll hold out, go in with the Remnant, and get the hell out of there. It'll be a 1-for-1 trade on the supports. And both teams will happily back out afterwards. His bounty runes have spawned up. And, I mean, Eurus, he's... Every time I look at him, he is getting a lot stronger. He's very, very close to that Battle Fury. In fact, he's about 100 gold away from finishing it off.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice boon for VG that should allow them to pump out a lot more damage and clear out these waves just a bit faster. So they're going to have a lot more utility with their Ember Spirit in that sense. In fact, it's already there. So Battle Fury up and running on Eurus should allow him to be much more efficient around the map and allow him to play catch-up a bit more. I think the key thing for VG is to slow down the game, which is funny because they've got the Undying, they've got the Dazzle. You'd expect them to play a bit faster, but at this point they want to slow it down. They want to hit 18 on Yang first. They want to secure a lot more items up and running on that hero and on their Ember Spirit as well.
But you are very close to that point now. Like, Yang is level 16, just about hit 17, has the Greaves up, going for a 4-staff next. Once he hits that 18 mark, I don't know if EHOME is going to be able to contest any longer. We've just seen it before as bot lane Sylar gets knocked out of the Ice Blast. Now PYW may be in trouble, though he's still man fighting as Eurus does rotate in on the Ember, but now the Dark Rift coming in from Faith Beyond. PYW will run away, though he does get scouted. He'll go for the TP. Does he make it out in time? The arrow, no. Sylar, he makes the last hit happen, as they do also find the Aegis on the Ember. And he's still in that Pillar Mattis. In fact, never mind, he's not. It does run out, but the silence will be enough. And DY does get caught with the swap. Rooted up, he's got no way out, and they'll chase for more. EHOME now looking for Ori on this core AA. Ori trying to run away, and maybe he will make it out though. No, teleportation's going to come in, and he missed the point blank Ice Blast. And it looks like Yang will also go down. So EHOME now with a full team wipe apparently. And they are going to start pushing the high ground at the bot lane.
There's nothing to stop this from VG. No buyback in Eurus. They do have a buyback on their Undying, but I believe he's not going to have his entire kit there. Won't have his ult. Will have Tombstone, but at this point it just kind of melts. So they're going to have to give up these towers, possibly racks, possibly more, if EHOME feels like they can push their luck.
Well, they'll get one. And, I mean, they're taking it so quick. I'm surprised they don't just go for T4s at this point. Like, it's... Everything's melting. They can't go for the third one. There is still a tier 2 tower up the top lane. The swamp is going to be there. They caught up the Undying. PYW rushing in, but he's caught in the Pit of Malice. Now rooted up. No way out. and that's going to be another 2 down. The buybacks come out. They want to keep this fight up as they TP in. They will go after Y. He's just swapping away. Now Sylar, man fighting up against Eurus, who's trying to just remnant around. Nothing to say, pops the BKB, going after the Undying. This could be a dieback for PYW. He'll charge in. After Q, they do burst down the Mirana, but they've lost Yang on the Dazzle with no buyback available. They find more Eurus. I think he's out of remnants. Eurus, he should go down here. He's been Yule's up. They did at least find the Venge. Eurus still juking around with the Slight Fist, and now the Dark Rift. They have to get out. But the Ember was so close to dying. He had about 200 HP left. But still, looks like they didn't want to risk anything. They got 2 Raxes. That'll be enough.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going to be happy about that as EHOME. Vici does manage to, I suppose, defend the rest of their base. Still, I mean, it's hard for them now. They're still playing into a huge deficit. 20k behind EHOME, 19 to 33 at 29 minutes in. You had to expend a couple of buybacks there as well. And you are still seeing a lot of holds in VG's draft. They are about 1 level off from the Dazzle to hit that level 18 point. And by that's when we actually see the Dazzle really kick into overdrive with a sustain. Is that going to be enough against the damage EHOME has is another question, because they definitely are farmed up as well. They've got the right-click damage to melt heroes and towers.
They do. Top lane. What we got there? They have found out PYW. It's going to be a very easy pickup. PYW, I believe, did buy back last team fight, so not available this time around. They might just go for high ground again. Q2, going to be pretty easy to take out. There's still no Roshan to take. And in fact, the only buyback on the whole map is going to be Eurus on the Ember. So if they win a team fight, this game's over. EHOME going to start moving in, but the Tombstone going to be there. You do have some decent high ground defense with Eurus, with that Battle Fury, with that Maelstrom. EHOME may not feel confident to keep going here. Faith, Pit of Malice does get the Ember, but you need more Silences, more Rod of Atoses, and there's one. Yules is going to be there, nothing to say. Silence does come out, but it's not quite perfect, as Faith is starting to fall quite low with that Ice Blast passive and does get taken out. That's one gone. Can they find more? DY, he's getting low on the Undying. Looks like he may drop it. The Shallow Grave will save his life. Sylar still trying to hit away on this Undying, and it looks like eventually he may just die, though. No, he'll get away. Now Yang getting caught out. Arrow, it will connect, but Eurus trying to protect, and he will, but that's a lot of damage from Q, who leaps forward. Why? He'll drop on the Venge. Eurus does survive in the fountain, and they go for more. PYW going forward with another strike now onto the DP. He hasn't got enough damage by himself. Silence still in the back hitting away, but now the charge from PYW. Ori surviving on the AA thanks to the Shallow Grave, and they do get nothing to say. They just sustain so darn long, as now Q has fallen low and has no leap charges. Yang again with the Shallow Grave will survive. PYW trying to go into Sylar. He'll go down, but Sylar is surrounded. It's one versus the world. Sylar, can you do it? He's trying. He will pop his Satanic. Eurus needs to back out of there, but they are kiting away Sylar. He is still standing his ground. He has teleportation. He could try and TP, but he just won't. He's a real man, but real men sometimes die. And that's what's happened to Sylar. And that's a pretty big team fight to come out for Vici Gaming. A lot of gold going their way, and in fact it was a full team wipe. Every member of EHOME does end up dying in the end.
It was that point we were waiting for coming out from Yang. He hits 18 on the Dazzle, and you can't kill anyone. I mean, you can kill a couple, but that just lets Yang focus on a couple of heroes and heal them up, keep them protected with the Grave. This is ridiculous, what we're seeing coming out from VG, but we're still holding out. Now, EHOME's not out of it, of course. They lose one big fight like that, sure. They did manage to clear out those bot racks by the creeps, at the very least. And they still have an opportunity to try again. They still have a 17k advantage on them. And that is something they can definitely leverage a bit better. Still, VG, they're not out of it. They're showing us the power of this lineup. In fact, Eurus is going for the Divine. Because he knows he's probably not going to die with that Dazzle around.
This is the kind of Dota you love to see. Just the manliest of Dota. The Dark Rift going to be there. They're going to make a jump. Eurus gets used up. Q does connect the arrow. They may have the damage, and they do. PYW was not fast enough with the charge, and now he's rooted up. And I suppose it's very lucky that you didn't have the Divine up yet. Just to take a relic for now. And Eurus, he does have buyback if necessary. But EHOME seem to be setting up for the next Roshan.
That's going to be the objective they desperately need. They're going to need that Roche to give them as much of longevity in these fights as VG does. They're probably just going to give it to Sylar. I can't see that going on to Nothing to Say, mainly because, you know, once he expends that exorcism, he's really not going to be doing much in these fights anyway. So the priority has to be Sylar's NP. They are going to get a bit of a shove going on that top lane. First is a fairly low tier 3. In fact, they pop their ults. They're going to go for it.
Roshan's up. They see the buyback, they back off. And I think that's a smart play, because they have scouted out the Roshan now. Can still use the Exorcism. It is still pretty long duration. But if you are Vici Gaming, you feel like you need to try and fight this. It's just, I don't know if you can, while Eurus doesn't have that buyback available, and they won't even have time anyway. It's gone.
I think this is okay for VG. Like, they cannot fight in that pit. They have to surrender that Aegis. Their high ground is still really good. As long as they position that Tombstone great, they sustain themselves with Yang, and just kind of push EHOME to try to go up, they will lose a sustained fight.
We will have a DC from DY. While we have that DC, let's have a look at that win probability, and whoa, that's a weird one. So apparently at some stage during the game, we were sitting at 100%. For EHOME. Then after a bad team fight, it seems to have got... See, Dota Plus, you can't do this. This isn't how you predict games, right? If you say 100%, I believe you have to stick with that prediction. It has gone a little bit back the way of VG after certain team fights, but it is back the way of EHOME. So, there you have it. Apparently, Vici Gaming have little to no chance.
I think that that underestimates the potential from VG. You can see EHOME. There's 1 Rax left. They've got the 24k advantage. They're hesitant to go into that high ground. They don't want to do it. They tried it before. They couldn't deal with the sustain. They had a Satanic on Sylar, for goodness sake. Like, he was standing there, he was hitting back, and you saw VG just dancing around, just pulling back here, pulling back there, waiting for the Satanic to fade out. Yang just graving people and constantly healing up. This is going to be a bit of an issue for EHOME. Granted, they don't have much left to push, right? They only have 1 set of racks left. There's really only just the tier 4s in the base afterwards. And that's very little for VG to hold on to. So VG has to play perfectly for quite a long time to get themselves back in. But EHOME, you know, the odds are on them. This is still their game to win. It's still their game to lose, really, because they are so far ahead. They just need to play smart. They need to watch out for that Dazzle if possible. Just get complete control onto Yang before anything else silly could happen. And if you clear out that Dazzle, I don't think you're going to have too much issues with the rest of the heroes.
You notice that Sylar's, the Nature's Prophet cosmetic, the cape he's wearing, it just looks like a carpet. Like a rug.
Yeah, it does.
I think you got a rug out of your grandma's basement, just said, screw it, this will do. I'm a superhero now.
Hey, if it works for him, it could work for any of us. It's just, why don't I see you on a rug then, Mike? See, you got to be brave to do it.
That is true. I am afraid to look a little silly. I will not be wearing any rugs. Vici Gaming, 24k net worth behind. The AI has completely given up on them. But they have not given up on themselves, as Eurus is fairly behind in terms of finding that demon, and still needs about 1.1k. Let's say he's behind. He could get that pretty quick, but it's just hard to leave the base right now. We are also going to see those tier 4 items popping up soon, and EHOME may just wait to find a couple of those before they really go in for that last team fight, but that is going to give Eurus that time to have the Divine up. In fact, he found Y. Remnants forward. Doesn't have chains. Arrow actually going to miss from SyncQ, and now PYW rushes forward again. Ice Blast going to fly through. It'll catch both of them, and they're going to burst both down to SyncQ. Not quite yet going down, but may tick out. He has the pipe there, and that has actually saved his life. No, it hasn't. Or he does get it with the last tick once again. That's the second time that's happened this game to SyncQ. It's the last tick takes him out.
Yeah, that's rough. It's pretty close. It looked like he was going to get away with it, but the last tick, cleaning him up. No buyback on that Mirana. That is going to give Vici just a little bit more time to find what they need, as they are still staying in the game. It's a rough time. We are 100 gold away from that Divine Rapier, and Eurus, he's going to have to play much more careful than he was. You do finally have that disarm on Yang as well, so this is scary. It's a very low cooldown disarm.
Far forward, nothing to say. Silent, they're all going to jump in. DY going to be the one caught out. He will go down, so a nice little support pick-off, but I don't think you capitalize off this if you are EHOME, because you're still missing 2 of your own supports. And Eurus does have the Divine now. It is up and ready. And so we'll see how he defends his tier 3 tower, as it is going down very quick, but Eurus, Sleight of Fist, not being thrown out. Ice Blast is going to be there onto Sylar. Does connect on Faith Beyond, and PYW again just rushes forward, but Pit of Malice going to hold him down for a little bit. Nothing to say, just spamming all his abilities, trying to make sure he hits something, but he is falling low and is forced to BKB to run away, but Eurus goes in for another Sleight of Fist, and that'll be the end of that. They get a tier 3 and they will back off.
It's fascinating. EHOME expend that ultimate they have, the exorcism, and they don't really take anything beyond that tower, which was fairly low anyway. Surprised they don't commit harder, especially since they're not playing into that tombstone, which is giving Vici time to reconsolidate their defense.
The Malice is nice onto 2, but 4-star straight away. PYW again on the back lines. That Divine Rapier isn't actually doing too much damage, believe it or not. It just feels very lackluster, as now they just dive underneath the tier 4 towers, and Eurus is dead.
Oh,
Divine
man.
is on the deck, and it looks like this game may be over. I think SyncQ picked it up, and he has on the Mirana. Everything's falling. They're still trying to team fight this, but without the buyback on your Ember, how can you? And EHOME will take it all away. Vici Gaming will stare at their Ancient as it does go down, and the GG has been called, and that will force it to a game number 3 between these two.